Hello and good morning. I hope you are all well. The weather here is absolutely crazy. So it was really bright and sunny this morning, yet raining at the same time. And then we had wind and very heavy rain. Then we had hailstone, and now it's just torrential, really, really dark. So I apologise. I look like I'm sitting in the dark a little bit. Hopefully it'll be bright enough down on my mat. I'm going to show you today how to make some lovely little gemstone wire bracelets. Really simple, fairly common technique as well in terms of just adding a little bit of detail of that wire. I have done some similar before. We use the little heart and star beads. And we were using the base as memory wire. Today what we've done is we put together a little bundle for you on the Totally Beads website, so you can choose your own gemstones. You can choose which wires, but it will have the gauges that you will need for this. So I'm going to use a 1mm wire as the base wire, which is an 18 gauge for those that work that way. We've also got a 0.5, which is our kind of detailing wire, which is 22 gauge. And because you're going to get so much 1mm wire, I was going to show you how to make these where you can attach a clasp directly onto that. You could add jump rings if you want to, but you don't need to. You can just kind of turn a loop or make a wrap loop and add your clasp directly on. But because you've got so much 18 gauge or 1mm wire, I'm going to show you how to make a little hook clasp for that as well. So I'm going to say a quick good morning to you all before I take you over to the website. If you can hear noise in the background, it is just the rain hitting the window. It's torrential right now. Good morning to Rachel. She says she's in a bright and breezy. Good morning to Helen. Hello to Shirley. I hope you're well. Good morning to Rachel's in Barrow, by the way, and she said they had the hail earlier as well. Good morning to Elaine. Hello to Jan, who's in bright and blustery Sudbury. Good morning to Lisa. Barbara's in from Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for joining me. Good morning to Phoenix Creations, who has slept in, which is lovely if you can get a lie in every now and again, isn't it? She said, thanks for the weather report. Hope it stays away. Honestly, it's like it's been all seasons in like an hour today. Good morning to Camille, who's in a cold and bright Lynham. It's been really cold. I do love the autumn. The autumn's like probably my favourite season. But it's nice if you've got a bit of summer before you go into the autumn, so you get to feel the change. Shirley says it's still raining in Florida. Pretty soon we'll be floating away. There's been too much rain. And Phoenix Creations are saying we've got sun but a cold wind. So that is your weather around the world so far today. Let me take you over to the website and you can see how we've put these kits together for you. If you would like to make along with me, of course, you can do that. You can head over to the website if you want to buy your components. If you are watching back at a later date on YouTube, you've already got your kits and you've got your materials, you can just fast forward if you wish to. I feel like I have to put that disclaimer on because you do get the occasional comment of someone saying too much talking and too much selling, and I'm like, well, this is my job and this is what I love to do. Good morning to Anne. She says good morning to everybody. And good morning to Maya, who's in Utah in the US of A. Lisa says she'd opt for autumn all year round. I just love the change in the colours of the leaves, and I love the season, but I love all the seasons. They've all got their own, I think being in the UK, we really get a lovely change, and you can really feel the difference of those seasons if they behave as they should do. But we've had a really rubbish summer. It was gorgeous apparently here at the weekend, but of course I went away and I brought the cold and the wind back with me. Good morning to Carol. Hello to Mina. Okay, so here we go on totallybeads.co.uk. Head over into the video tutorial category and click on the logo here, or you can click on the learn to make jewelry section here if you wish to, and then that will take you in to show you what we've got today. So that was a little planet pendant that I did on Monday. Today is Wednesday, and we're doing the gemstone wound bangle. I've not given this a name, it just is what it is. So you can see what we've done is we've put 6mm gemstones, which are our popular ones, on there for you, so you can choose your own. They will of course all vary in price depending on which ones you want. So we can have a little scroll down there. You can also, if I keep going down, if there's a particular one that you want that isn't there, then you can head just into the gemstone links, and you can, if you click here, this will take you through to all the 6mm gemstone rounds. So you can see we've got lots and lots of colours. Some of them are out of stock. I have put kits together recently, so I'm hoping that when I come to deliver them, we've still got the colours and the bits that I've chosen. But there's all sorts there that you can have a little look at. Have I shared that page? Don't know whether I actually, no, I don't know whether I did. So I clicked on this bit here and it took me through to another page. If I click on that one, I don't know whether you can see. I think I've just kept you on the same page. I've not shared that one, but there you go. You click on that one there, it will take you through to the 6mm round gemstones. If you want to have the wire little bundle, we've put a little bundle together in the gold, the rose gold and the silver. The gemstone won't be included in that, but it will give you plenty of wire. The amount of wire you use will determine whether, how large you want your bracelet, but also if you want to make that clasp, or you want to just use a little lobster clasp, or maybe a magnetic clasp, anything would work okay with this. But you will get 2 of your gauges that you need. So you're going to get the 1mm wire, which is your 18 gauge, and you're also going to get the 0.5 wire, which is your 22 gauge. So for the 22 gauge 0.5 wire, you're going to need about 2 lengths at about 80 centimetres. For those who work in inches, that would be about 63 inches overall, so 31.5 inches each length. I am trying to make sure that I'm converting these as much as possible, because I appreciate people working in different things, and it can be a little bit confusing if I'm talking millimeters or centimeters and you don't work that way. So I do try my best to try and convert that for you. For the 1mm wire, again, it depends on the length of the bangle that you want to make. I would probably say about 25 to 30 centimetres, which is about 12 inches for that one base wire. So you can see you're getting lots in here. You're getting that copper wire, and it's also got your jump rings and lobster clasp included in this little bundle for you, so you don't have to make a wire clasp if you don't want to, but that can be a detail that you can add if you prefer. That's £2.99, which I think is a really good bargain. We've got really lovely, I love this wire. It's copper, so it's soft and easy to use. The 1mm or the 8 gauge is strong and sturdy enough to form that bracelet shape. But it's colour coded. We've got that lovely look at that pink. It's so pretty. I'm going to demo, I think, with the pink for you today, and I've just picked out some rose quartz because I think it matches. But you can see these are the bracelets that we are doing. This is the one that I've done with the lobster clasp, and I'll show you them down on the mat so you can see. So you put together whatever colours you want. So if you think I really want it in silver, but I'd really like it with the, the rutile quartz, you can get that. The fact that citrine is only £11.25 is really, really good. You're getting loads of gemstones on that strand. They are about 15 inches, the strands. Again, I think that might vary depending on which ones you pick out, but you probably need about 17 gemstones. I would say that's going to make a large bangle, and I do think the 6mm gemstones work the best. But of course, if you want to make them if you want to make one with larger, you can do. You can have a little look in our gemstone round section. There's plenty for you to have a look at and hopefully get a little bit of inspiration from as well. So I need to say good morning to Carol and Jackie and Esther, who's in a dull Preston. Joanne says good morning to everybody. She's going to try and watch as much as you can without disturbance because her granddaughter's gone to sleep. Rachel says, here in Barrow on Friday, it reached 26 to 28 degrees, which I can't convert to Fahrenheit, but trust me, that's warm. And peace and love to Anastasia, who's popped in as well. Okay, let me take you down on the mat. I might show you it with the lobster clasp, and then we can do the little wire clasp afterwards. So you can see here I've used the gold coloured wire. I'll just move that out of the way for a quick second. And I've chose the mookaite with this. I love mookaite. Named after the source in which it's found, in Mookaite Creek. And you've got that lovely little wire clasp which will just clip in and out there. Now this one I've done a small bracelet because I've done it small to fit me. So I've not used as many gemstones, but you can see that's how it fits on. It's a nice comfortable wear. Really, really pretty. This one I've done using slightly larger, just so I could show you what it looks like really. This is your amethyst with the silver, and then you've just got, I've done a little wrap loop and a little turned loop. If you do your wrap loop, it's going to be a little bit more sturdy and secure. I've added a little swirl detail on just to pretty it up, but you can see that will stretch out, and you know, it's still malleable enough to go around your wrist and to make that kind of more oval shape. In terms of shaping, I'm just using my hands. I've got myself a little glass tumbler. I don't have a bracelet mandrel as such, so I don't find that that's a necessity. You're going to need maybe a ruler or something to measure out your wire. If you're attaching on your little if you're adding on jump rings, this one hasn't got the jump rings on, I've just turned the loops and added the clasp on directly, then you can get 2 pairs of pliers, like chain nose pliers, to open your little jump rings. You'll need wire cutters. Wire straighteners are always good. Some round nose pliers, or you can use your bail step pliers, whatever you prefer, but you don't need much in this. Phoenix says, I'm not usually a gold person, but that little gold one is lovely with those gemstones. I just think they brings out those warm tones. Have a little look at what gemstones you might want to use, and that will kind of determine the wire that you want. Okay, so when if I bring you back up, when cutting my 0.5 or 22 gauge wire, I am taking 2 long lengths. I've got about 80 centimetres. I'm going to use them together, but they're 2 separate ones. So to find the centre, I'm just going to kind of line them up and then fold it in half. So I've got 2 of the ends that I'm holding, and I'm just lining them up just to find that kind of central point there. So I'm going to put that little bend in it. I know, Shirley, they are getting very long, my nails. We'll see if I can still kind of use them, still work with them, depends what I'm making. And so I'm going to just fold them in half, ready to go. I'm going to get my gemstones out, so I'm going to use the rose quartz, and then I'm going to take my 1mm wire, which is 18 gauge, and I'm going to cut, probably only need about 25 centimetres, maybe go for 30 if you are adding on that wire clasp. You probably won't need that much. In inches, that's 12 inches. So I'm just going to lay my wire out. This is going to be the main frame for my bracelet that the beads sit on. I always like to have a little bit more than I need, because you can add on the extra weaving wire, you know, what we're going to do the decoration with, that 0.5 or 22 gauge, but you can't add more onto the base frame. So you're going to get plenty on this. So if you want to add a little bit more, then you can always cut it off if you don't need it. Okay, so to start off, I am going to consider how I'm going to make my clasp. If I'm going to just add on the little lobster clasp, which will be in the wire bundle as well, then you want to turn a little loop. It doesn't need to be large, just something that is going to be able to hook in and out of that lobster clasp. If you are making your own wire clasp, then you're going to want that loop to be slightly larger because it's got to fit in nice and comfortably. Oh, hi, Mummy, you all right? So if I'm turning my loop, what I do tend to do is I choose what size loop that I want. And you can use, as say, your bail step or your round nose pliers. I'll show you it both ways. So I would just turn my loop, so I will just put the wire into the bail step plier and I will turn it all the way around. I'm not bending it or anything like that. So I've got that kind of little pea shape, and then I would just pop it and give it a little bend to straighten it up. And then what I would do is I would go along with a pair of my pliers and I would just give that a little pinch all the way around just to firm it up a little bit. What you can do though, however, is if you want to make a little wrapped loop, that will make it a little bit sturdier. But of course, if you are doing a wrapped loop, then you're going to find that you're going to need that little bit of extra wire. So I'm not going to cut it off. I'm going to just see if I can straighten it up. It might not end up being the neatest wrap loop now. I've already put that bend in. I should have really just cut a little bit extra off, but I'll straighten it up a little bit. So I want to make sure that, as I say, my clasp can fit in. So I think I am going to do this one here. So I am just going to bend it around. Bring in that wire over and I can straighten it up. You can also add like a little curl or a swirl onto this as well. So you can see that it's not straight, that loop at the moment, it's sitting on the side. But I just want to bring that wire around just to catch it. And it can be a little bit more stiff to use because it's, you know, the 1 mil, it's the 18 gauge. So it's a little bit stronger. So just use your tools. Wrap that round. Make sure you are cutting off any excess. Cover it over so it doesn't fire away, and just be cautious because you know, I should do, but I don't wear like eye protection when I'm making. You might want to consider that. I had a very near miss with a jump ring yesterday, so all I'm going to do is just straighten that loop up a little bit, and that's really very strong now, and nothing's gonna come out of that. So you can turn your loop, you can make a wrap loop, you can do whatever you want, whatever you feel is you know, lends itself to your design. It's not the prettiest wrap loop I've ever done, I'll be honest. Let me just straighten that up a little bit more. Give it that shape. That's a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to just pick my wires up that have fallen off onto the floor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 0.5 or 22 gauge wire. Don't really tend to use this gauge of wire much, but I think it's nice to add you know, this extra detail. You can do that with, you know, a different gauge if you want to go up or down, it's up to you. So I've got that centre and I'm just laying those wires out together. I kind of want to straighten them up, and I'm just going to start using these as one. So just underneath that loop I've created, I'm going to pop those wires around and I'm just going to attach them on. So I'm just wrapping that around the neck, just underneath that loop. They will move up and down, and that's absolutely fine. Don't want to put too much pressure on it. You can straighten it all out. But I want to make sure that these wires aren't crossing over. So I've got 2 running down the bottom. So I'm just going to reposition that because it's crossed a little bit. And I've got 2 running vertically up the top. And then I will just slide that down. If it needs a little bit of a pinch, you can do that. And if you want to just reposition. And then all we need to do is just start adding on our beads. So I'm going to just take the first one. It's not raining now, Anastasia. No, the sunshine's coming out and there's probably a big rainbow somewhere. You might be able to hear the whirring of my computer though. So what I would suggest you do is choose whether you go from the top or the bottom, and I'm going to keep that pattern. So you can do either. You can bring it from the bottom first, or you can bring it from the top. But I would just keep going in whatever you choose to do. So because my wires are close to the way I've wrapped them round to this one, I'm going to start with the bottom. So I'm bringing those 2 wires around, and again I want to keep them fairly flat, so I'm just curving it around the bead, and then when they've started to hug the bead, I'm just bringing it back down, and then I'll give it a tiny little pinch with my fingers just to frame the bead. And then the top wires are going to do the same. There'll be a little bit of a gap there on that first one where those other wires are, but I'm just going to bring it round the bead and then back up the top, and then taking the bottom wires, and I'm going to go over once and then bring the top ones down like so. And then I'm going to I'm just going to move that little glass because my wires are tinkling against it. And then I'm going to add my next gemstone bead, and I'm going to slide that down to those bottom wires. And because we started with the bottom, that's what I'm going to do again. So I'm going to make sure that these wires aren't crossing over, pushing that bead down. The wire is going to go round the bottom of the bead, over the base wire in the centre. I give it a little pinch usually, just to kind of flatten that wire around the base wire. And also it kind of, what you will find is as you wrap it, these can kind of close in a little bit around the bead. So by giving it a little bit of a pinch, it just frames the bead and then the wire doesn't cover too much of it. Taking the top one, and again going around the bead underneath, so it's going back in the direction it's come from, a little flatten, and then we take the bottom and they go up, and then the top wires come down. So just using those wires as one, and then reposition as you go. And I'm just going to keep repeating that each time. Good morning, Tina, hope you're well. Sliding on the bead, the bottom wires going around to frame the stone. And you'll see as I bring these wires back down, I position my, my foot, thumb and my finger, and I kind of put a little bit of pressure on the back of that wire just to straighten it out. And then again, making sure that these aren't tangled. If they do really want to cross, you can move them one by one, and you can do it one at a time. So you could bring that one of those top wires over and then the next wire over. But usually they behave themselves and you can use them just as one wire as you go. Little bit of pressure just to frame the stone. And then we're bringing the bottom ones up to the top, and then the top ones then become the bottom ones. If you use them as one, if you bring those wires over as one, they do tend to start just sitting nicely next to each other. Sometimes when you separate them out, they can have a little bit more of a gap. And then keep sliding on the next bead. And then you're just going to repeat this process until you've got the length that you want. So you can always, measure this as you go against a ruler. I reckon 17 beads at 6mm beads will probably be around an 8-inch bracelet. Obviously, if you're using larger beads or smaller beads, then that might change. I find it's easier to add one bead on at a time so they don't slide off. I'm just bringing that wire around. The other wire will frame the top of the bead. Little pinch to frame, and then bottom wires coming up, top wires become the bottom. And you can see how they're kind of closing around that bead. It's just giving it a little bit of a push to frame it. Thanks, Tina. They're very pretty pink wire with the rose quartz. So going around one of the beads at the bottom, over the top and behind the wire, and then the top wires are coming in front and behind the base wire. Flatten a little bit just to frame the bead. You can adjust afterwards as well. And then one goes up and one goes down. It's really straightforward. You can go from the top first. I just think it makes it more uniform if you continue whatever you started. So if you wanted, you could bring the top wires round first. But if you do that, then I would suggest you do it all the way along your bracelet. I started with the bottom wires, so I'm going to continue with the bottom wires. Coming round first, then the top. You just kind of want to keep these wires fairly straight as you go, and then they'll frame the bead nicely. Make that little cross, bringing the bottom ones up and the top ones down. And then sliding on my next bead. You're all talking about nails in the chat. I put little transfers on them last night. They're quite cute. They're very iridescent. And little patterns on. I think sometimes using the nail kind of transfers can kind of strengthen them as well. So I don't fiddle with them as much. But don't let anyone tell you I'm not doing enough work or enough dishes and housework. Sliding on the next bead. Again, just make sure, see these wires have started to cross a little bit here. So I'm just going to be kind of mindful of that. Take my time. If I need to re-straighten it out, I'm just running it through my fingers, catching it close around the bead. And flipping from the bottom and bringing down from the top. So you can see it's already growing and that length is starting to take shape. Of course, you can use this design for a variety of things. If you wanted to just curve it slightly in the middle, you could make beautiful necklaces. And it doesn't have to be a bracelet. You could attach it onto some chain. Did do one actually similar, if you just bear with me. Sometimes I amaze myself how organised I am that I can just reach in and grab something. So this pendant here is done in exactly the same technique, only I've just not made a loop or a clasp on the other end. I've just brought the wire around, shaped it into a circle, wrapped around, turned my loop to the side so I can just pop it directly through a chain. And then I've just brought some of the extra wire around to make a little bit of detail. So there's all sorts that you could. Oh, Tina says a choker would be lush. Yeah, it would. I do have a fairly similar project coming up soon. I've put lots of things together at the warehouse, but I've realised I've still got about 9 projects already here that I've not that I put together the time before last, which I haven't yet delivered to you. What did make me laugh, because as I was going through my past box of goodies, I noticed one of the makes I've used a particular component, which when I seen at the warehouse the other day, I was like, oh, they're nice, like they were completely new to me, and I already put something together with them. So that might be next week after next, maybe. But I have got some kind of wire necklaces that I would like to do with you soon as well. Anastasia says, you must have a great diet and you must be very healthy. No, I'm pescatarian. I don't eat meat, but then I don't really eat much fish either. I don't eat like shellfish, or basically occasionally I'll have some salmon. Yeah, no, I'm not healthy. It's all carbohydrates. I love my pastas, my cheese, my bread. So I'm just going to continue on. I've got about 4 beads left. You can see already my clasp is obviously going to add a little bit of length, but in inches at the moment. Of course, it also depends how large you make this first loop. You can see there's a big difference in size there. So this loop's taking up, a good half an inch, but I'm already at 5 inches here. Phoenix says that dainty bracelet would fit me as a choker. No, the bracelet, I've got small wrists. Everywhere else of me is more on the large size. There's no, if you can get it round your neck, you can get it on your waist. I know I've spoken to you about this before. If you ever need to try on, say, like a pair of jeans in a shop, and you can't try them on, or there's no changing room or whatever, then take the waistband and position it around your neck. And if it wraps around your neck, so as if you were wearing them as a cape, then it will fit your waist. I have no idea why it works. It just does. And I can guarantee you that will not fit my waist. So it won't be worn as a choker either. I guess it works the same way. Yeah, I don't know how it works, but it does. Good morning to Angela. I hope you're well and good luck with your doctor's appointment today. So if you're joining us, making a little wire bangle, we've put, I've got an extra bead there. We've put a little wire bundle together for you on the website if you want to have a little look, or you want to choose some lovely gemstones. We do ship worldwide. And we're using 2 gauges of wire. So we're using the 0.5 for these bits, which is 22 gauge, and this bit is a 1mm wire, which is 18 gauge. And we're just doing a very simple framing of the beads with this detailing wire. So I'm bringing it around the bead and over the back and around the bead and up the top and then a little crisscross with those wires to secure them in place. So when you've added on your gemstones and you're happy with the size, I think this one's going to be, well, probably be too large for me, but people like to wear bangles a little bit looser sometimes, and they sit lower down the wrist. So you're just going to add on all the gemstones you want. When you get to the last one, you're going to do exactly, Tina saying, my waist is definitely bigger than my neck. I know it is, Tina, I know, but honestly, try it. Go and get a pair of jeans out that fit you. And I need a pair to show you. So you hold up the waistband and you, like, so they're folded. So you're holding one side to the other, and then you put it around your neck, and if it meets, it'll fit you around the waist. Don't ask me how I know. I have had a few funny looks in the shop. Okay, so I'm popping on that last bead, and I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to bring it round again at the top, and then I'm going to do a little crisscross. Now, what you can do is you can just finish it as you would, and then you can just turn a little loop on here, and you can do a wrapped loop and then attach it with a jump ring, or you can slide this on before you have your wrapped loop, or you can make a clasp, which is what I'm going to do with you instead, because we've got plenty of wire left over. So I'm just going to bring these up and across like before, but I'm not going to cut these off just yet. So you can see I've got this long length here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably pinch my wire, I would say maybe about 1 inch or so, and I'm going to fold that over so that wire is coming back down on itself. And then with my pliers, I'm going to give it a little pinch in. I think actually my flat nose might help a little bit. I'm going to just start, I'm doing it fairly gently because obviously this wire is colour coded. So actually, if you've got your nylon coated pliers, that might work better too, because you don't want to scrape any of that coating off. So I'm just bringing these, every plier that I've got at the moment is broken, so I'm struggling. You can see it keep missing these little bits of it. I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on it just to draw those in close together like so. And then where this piece of wire comes back down, I'm going to cut it in line with that wrap. So I'm going to come in with my cutters and I'm going to give that a little trim. So I've now got this piece here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind that to itself using these leftover parts. So I'm just going to bring those two wires around and bind them together. Now you can bind this as much as you want. I did an awful lot of binding on this one, but you don't need that much. You just need enough to bring these two together and hold it in place. So I'm still bringing those wires round as one. And then I'm going to trim off any excess. And I'm going to trim it off on the back and give it a little push down. And then with these, I'm just going to wrap around the very bottom. Don't want it too bulky. I think I might go all the way up, just to where the other wires are. And again, just trimming off. You could add a little swirly detail with that as well if you like. And then tuck that down. So those wires should sit flush, and they're just going to be sitting on the inside. Now before I do anything else, I'm just going to have a little look at my bracelet and check that, you know, it's all sitting flat and forward. Give it a little reposition if I need to, and you know, you can open out some of those little wire details and push them down and adjust if you want to. Now I'm going to start to shape it by bending it round this way. So what I want is I want my clasp, eventually it's going to fit into this loop at the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my round nose or my bail nose, and I'm just going to give it a little bend. So it's probably about halfway up. I'm just going to fold it over and back on itself. And then I'm going to take the round nose pliers and I'm going to give it a little flick, keeping these two wires together. I'm going to just add a little flick onto the bottom. And then push that down. You don't have to do this, it just adds a little bit of detail. Just want to make sure they're fully aligned. And this should then clip into here. So if you want to add shape to your bracelet, we're going to just start from the middle and we're going to start shaping it round. In fact, what I will do is I'll just measure out before I shape it again, so you can see the size of this one. So this one is coming in at about 7.5 inches. So I'm just going to start putting that little bend in. You can shape it around a bracelet mandrel, you can shape it around a little glass tumbler that I've got there. But what you'll tend to find is just by hooking those ends together, then that creates that rounded shape anyway. You want to make sure that your clasp can fit into the loop. I made quite a large loop there. I don't think I needed it quite as long. But you also want to make sure that there's a little space between that, and then they will just hook on. So you've got a fully wire bangle. Just doing it that way. People are laughing at my handy hints with the jeans. It's not. People will say it's not. Look, Phoenix says some I doubt that will work with me. It will. I promise you. Try it. But I'm hoping that you're more impressed with the bracelet that I've made than the tips about measuring your jeans. So as you can see, that's how you would do your little wire clasp. And it will bend in and out of shape, but it will hold its form, and it's very strong. You've got that wrap loop there, so that's going to keep it in place. If you want to just turn your loop, then let me get a little bit of wire. You would, as I say, I'll start off as if I was talking you through this one. So you would get your length of wire. So my base wire, which I'm going to use at about 25 centimeters, I think will be more than enough if I'm not making that clasp. Just straightening that wire out because we don't want too many kinks in it. And again, you can make a wrap loop with it or you can just turn your loop. You could bend it and you could turn it as I usually do, but I tend to find with this, I'm just turning it round and then straightening it up. Again, I don't even think you need that big. So I'll go for the smaller one. That's a bit better. And your wire is, you know, fairly forgiving, so you can straighten it up, get rid of any little kinks. What I would do though is I would obviously make sure it comes all the way round, and then just with my pliers, just gently, I'm just going to put a little pinch around it, and that will kind of wire harden it, so that will make it a little bit more firm if I'm not doing a wrap loop. Then I'd just be doing what I did normally, sliding on all of my beads, doing those wraps, and then when I get to the end, my last bead, my wraps would finish there. I'm just going to turn my loop as normal, and then you can add on, if you've done the wrap loops, you will get the jump rings in the wire bundle, so you could just open up your jump rings as usual. And then slide that on if you've done your wrap loop, or if you've just turned a loop like this, then all you need to do is give it a little flick up. You can see that's much more sturdy now. I've worked hardening. Slide on your clasp and fold back down, and then you will have something like this, and your clasp will sit in the right direction as well if you attach it on directly. So if I show you here, this is not a wrap loop. It's got a little ability to open and close it. And it's still sturdy enough to hold its shape. You know, if I was to pull on that, it could open that up a little bit. But if I pull on this one or on that one, it's a wrap loop, so it's not going to open. Tina's saying there's a lovely sound of running water in the background. A bit like, is it ASMR? Is that right? Is that what it's called? Where you hear all like the close-up sounds. Honestly, it's such a miserable day here weather-wise. It's just grey and dark. So there are your bracelets. I'm not going to say they cost this much for whatever, because it will depend on what gemstones you pick. We've got amazing little wire bundles, which is just £2.99. You can choose in gold, rose gold, or silver. So you can see that these three here, there's the silver, the rose gold, and the gold. In those little bundle kits, you're going to get your copper wire, your jump rings, and a lobster clasp. And your copper wire is going to be 1mm, which is 18 gauge, and 0.5 millimeter, which is 22 gauge. So you can buy the little bundle packs on the website. In fact, I'll just show you the website again very quickly. That one. So you can see these are your wire packs. So you do get your findings, but you don't get your gemstones. On the main page, so if you head into the wire bangle tutorial link on the website, it will show you some of our very popular gemstones here. So you've got your fluorite, you've got that gorgeous mixed agate. If you want, you can make along with me, like I have done with my rose quartz. Loving that white onyx. We use that with the larger sized one, didn't we? It was the 12mm when we made the planet pendant. So if you wanted, you could make, you know, a bracelet to match your pendant and earrings from Monday's live if you wanted to. We've also got, if they aren't what you're after, if you click on the top here and click on this section which says 6mm gemstone rounds, then let me share that page for you. Ta-da! You can see here we've got absolutely loads This is just the first page. Garnets. But you can scroll along through there and you can see we've got all sorts, and they do, as I say, vary in price. The pedalite for £6. What are they? Mapstone for £3.10. Just could sit here all day going, oh my gosh, have you got mixed cut Amazonite for £4? So you could get your very extravagant natural lapis for £18. I appreciate that a lot. Look how beautiful they are, though. Ah, look, a little bit of pyrite in there, and you're getting a 15-inch, which is 38 centimeters. So you're getting approximately 60 beads on that string. So bear in mind, I've used about 17. You could get that strand and you could make multiple bracelets with that. In terms of your wire, you'll probably have enough 1mm wire to make a couple of bracelets. The 0.5, as I say, I'm probably using about 63 inches overall, so it's two lengths of about 80 centimeters. But you won't need it all if you're not going to use the wire clasp and you're just going to use the clasp that comes in your kit. So that's all the ins and all the outs. Thank you, Tina. She says it was a beautiful make. Rachel says, great bracelet. I love semi-precious. I'll be honest, if you sell your jewellery, these are always popular. I've been making ones similar to this for quite some time now, and they make lovely little gifts. So I'm glad you enjoyed them. Lisa says, lovely bracelets. Thank you, Natalie. Was watching while I was making a colourful pom-pom wreath for my son's bedroom. Well, that sounds lovely. Lisa, if you can, give it a share in the handmade group. So thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be back with you on Monday. I'm going to be making some little pearl bracelets with you on Monday. Really straightforward, really simple, and just has a nice little pattern and design on it. So if you'd like to come and join me then, I look forward to seeing you. I hope you all have a really lovely week. Mina says she loves it and she's definitely going to give it a try. I hope you have a lovely week.